I've never seen another sales funnel on LinkedIn quite like yours. I've seen them on Instagram, I've seen them on Facebook, but LinkedIn sales funnel like the way you do it. Never seen anybody do it. Never. How did you get involved in marketing coming from sales? Did you just already have some experience working with marketing teams? Or did you just have to go deep into education and figure it out for yourself?
Great question. So I'm gonna give you a long answer so you have a little bit of context, right? Because I believe I might be a little bit unique given the circumstances I started in sales, which kind of opened my mind to marketing. And what I mean by that is when I first got started in B2B sales, I was working for a startup of a really big company. They really didn't have any marketing at all, especially even on the B2C side, and definitely not on the B2B side. And on the B2B side, it was like, all right, good luck. So I had to wear the marketing hat and the sales hat. And that's when I started realizing how hard it was to generate attention to all those things. Now, because of that environment, I really struggled at first, and eventually I figured it out. And I think most people never end up figuring it out if they have to do that. So that's why typically most salespeople have to go work for a company that already has a good marketing in place to help make their job a little bit easier. So I came from a background where we had zero leads, zero attention. So I had to learn how to do all those things. Now, that set me up with a little bit of framework already, kind of mentally right there. Just understanding that. And then just throughout my experience, and because I was a full cycle rep, full cycle leader, and I led massive teams over time as life progressed through. I also worked closely with marketing teams as well. So I just sort of get a better understanding how it all kind of worked together. So I wasn't just a salesperson. I could see how the pieces of the puzzle work together. But me personally, I knew nothing about marketing funnels. I knew nothing about landing pages, opt-ins, copyright, I didn't know any of those things. Now, in about 2015, I told you it's a long story, right? So in 2015, I started learning about internet marketing. And it was really because at this point, I had been in corporate America for about 8 years. And everyone said, Marcus, how did you get promoted 10 times in 8 years? You're one of the youngest directors in this company. You work for a Fortune 500 company. How did you even do that? You should write a book. That's what people told me. I'm like, write a book? I don't know nothing about writing a book. So I decided to learn how to write an ebook. And this is before everyone and their mother had an ebook. So I decided to create my first ebook. So I bought some cheap program and started learning about how to write an ebook and really all of the behind the scenes of a little bit of copywriting, setting up a mini funnel and all those things. I'm like, oh, this is really neat. And I remember like writing it and then launching it. And, I remember my first sale happened a couple hours later for $9. And I was really excited. I'm like, wow. Now, granted, it's to a very warm audience, people I knew, but still, I'm like, this is really neat. Someone just paid me $9. I didn't have to get on a sales call with. That was really, really strange. I'm like, that's cool. I like this. Now, that was cool. And it got to the point where I was making a few $100s a month with this ebook. I'm like, that's pretty neat. I'm like, what else could I build that could be of value to the marketplace that I could make digital as well? And again, at this time frame, this was like 2017 when I got to this mental kind of point. And I was like, I should build an online course. Now, again, this is before everyone had an online course. Only certain big name people had courses. So I said, I should build an online course. What do people ask me like questions on? B2B sales. B2B sales. And at this point, because I'd ran teams for so long, I'll get asked the most common questions over and over. I'm like, I should just build something that I wish I had when I got started in sales. So, and this whole time, I'm still working full time. I'm traveling nonstop. I'm literally in a hotel room about 100 nights a year. And I had a big team of over 100 plus employees working 80 hours a week. And in my free time, I started building this online course out. It actually took me about 2 years to build it all out. And this whole time, like the only way I'm really building traffic and generating potential leads and stuff like that was Instagram. Like I didn't know anything what I was doing. I was just posting motivational quotes, writing a little bit of crappy copy. No idea what I was doing. And you're gonna laugh, Doug. My email list, even after 2 years doing this, it was like 300 people. Like I didn't know what I was doing. All right. So, because I also had bought a course on how to create a course. So I remember after 2 years of building this all out, I I was like, I launched it. And I remember launching it. I'm like thinking to myself, like, I hope somebody buys it. I hope it's going to waste 2 years. Launched it, woke up overnight, made $2,000. And I was like, wow, that was really neat. I just made $2,000. I didn't have to get on a sales call. That is so strange. So at this point, this is like January 2019. I'm like, this is a very interesting thing what I've just uncovered here. Like, and at this point, I've been in corporate. Like at this point, I was working and doing all these things. I'm like, I got to keep working. That's fine. I could just stop work. I could just retire now if I want to. It didn't really matter. Like at this point, I generated so much in income and wealth because of what I was doing. I'm like, do I even need to work? Maybe not, but I can't just, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna just do nothing. I'm like, maybe I could turn this into a business. That'd be kind of cool, like scale this into business. So eventually, I kind of planned it all out. Fast forward 9 months later, I quit my job, went all in. Now, this is all part of the story still, how we kind of started figuring this out. And there were things I learned in my Instagram journey that did not work. For example, I knew I had to have a better, really optimized profile. I knew that. I had to have a really clear, ideal customer profile. And I knew I had to go to the eyeballs were. So at that point, I knew my audience was on Instagram just for the most part, but I really knew they were on LinkedIn. I really knew that. So what I started to do at that point is I remember literally I quit my job, went all in, and I started posting on LinkedIn. Now, there were things I put before I started posting, I knew how to do. I'd optimize my profile. I had to find I'm like, where can I borrow traffic? I'm like, who are the players who are doing a way better job than I am writing content, posting content, who are writing for my target market? Who are those people? I had to find like the 10, 15 of those people. And immediately I started following them and engaging in all their content. And I knew, similar to my Instagram journey, that it wasn't going to be overnight, that I would have to make sure I show up every single day and drop value on those posts to get eyeballs to me.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
Like, I hope people are listening. That this didn't happen overnight. This was started with a $9 ebook.
Right.
All the way to a very, very high ticket offer. I don't know what the price is, but I imagine it's very high ticket with other offerings as well. But you have a signature offer. So this wasn't overnight. Not like the pandemic hit and then you magically had the secret formula. It started back in 2015. Here we are right now. That's a long journey to get to where we are right now. I think the internet makes it seem like, oh, this is overnight. You wrote it on a napkin at a hotel, and next thing you know, you're just fine.
No, and I believe as we gain experiences and skills, they stack on each other. So what was really interesting was, because I just took some of the knowledge I had from Instagram and I applied it heavily to LinkedIn. So literally, I started posting content every single day. Value. That's all I did. Zero CTAs. That's all I did. And I knew, like, I had an offer that was good. I knew I basically need a lead mechanism next. So then I had to create a lead mechanism. So how do I generate leads? So I started creating lead magnets. And I also started to run webinars. So I started to do webinars a few months later, where I literally do live webinars every 2 weeks. And I would spend 2 weeks promoting it. And I would get a few hundred people to show up. And then I would just teach them massive value, make a pitch at the end, and make 5, 10, 15K at the end, at the end of the pitch. And I would do these live webinars every couple of weeks. And it was actually really exhausting. And at the time, it was a course by itself. So I sold the course at the time. Course was nothing else. No coaching. It was $997, one-time payment, or 3 payments of $397. So that's what I was doing. I was like, cool. This is decent money. Okay, you make, make 20, 30K a month doing it. That's fine. To get back to the level of income I was earning, I wanted to go to that and beyond. I'm like, I need to do way more of this. But I was also I was burning myself out too. So what was happening was, like, those 2 weeks of promoting, like, I started getting better with copywriting because I was writing every single day. right? Every day the copy got better and better and better, right? Because I was writing so much copy. I had to write better. I was working on my emails, get people to show up to those live events, right? And then there's a follow-up sequence as well. So I was always tweaking that. And but it felt like a roller coaster to me. That's what it was. 2 weeks, promo, get people on this webinar, do a pitch, and again. And that's how it felt.
That's not scalable at that point. Not a
You're right.
scalable way.
It was not scalable.
Right?
You're 100% right. So it was not scalable. And at that point, and I did this, let's see, so that was September 2019. So I did that for about 6 months. And within a couple of months, I already started seeing like, okay, I can see this not being sustainable. Like this is going to burn me out. So, and then I started, at this point, I'm getting heavily targeted by all types of ads on Facebook, YouTube, et cetera, by all the big name marketers and influencers, et cetera. And I remember this was in November 2019, and I bought a low ticket offer. It was like a 1 day like Thanksgiving Black Friday special called Modern Day Copy by Dan Henry. And I remember, so I bought it. I'm like, cool. And it was like a 4-hour live training because I wanted to improve my copywriting. And I watched it. I'm like, wow. He taught it live. It was like $49. Easily, he could have charged like probably 5-10K for this. But like, it was so much value. I said, okay, cool.
Why do you think you charged so low for that?
So it was a low ticket offer, ascension funnel to get you into something higher ticket is what it was. Right. So, and at the time I did that. That was cool. I just didn't do anything with it. I'm like, cool, awesome. It's great. I'm learning. I'm applying these things. But in the back of my mind, I established Dan as the authority, right? Because I just saw how much value he gave. I'm like, I was so impressed. So I started looking into him, right? And I knew he had a higher ticket program. At the time, it was called Sold Out Courses. And I knew, like, in order for me to get to the next level, I can either, number one, keep trial and error and things, try to YouTube my way to success, and basically pay the time tax of trial and error, which would take me probably years to figure out. Okay. And I'm like, I'm pretty freaking savvy and I work pretty hard. I'll probably eventually figure it out. But I'm like, do I really want to wait a couple of years? So fast forward 6 months later, 4 months later, in March 2020, I joined his program, right? It was like a 5-figure investment. Joined his program. It was a coaching program. Joined it. And that was one of the first things that really was a big move, a big shift for my business, because like I really got to see the inner workings of how to really improve an actual legitimate sales funnel. The steps, how to properly build the sequences as well, and really how to really even improve my offer. That was a big thing too. Like at that time, what I was doing was I would sell my course before this, and then I would sell one-on-one coaching on top of that as well. Like not scalable at all. It just was not scalable at all. So going into Dan's program, I realized I had to go right into high ticket. That's really what I needed to do. Because the issue I was running into was like I was trying to do all these automations, all these things, and there's so much room for error on the back end. Things have to work out perfectly. So I went super simple, did exactly what we did. I actually ran a beta test. We did a beta test, and because I realized pretty quickly, even though I was my former ICP, ideal customer, I worked with them for years, I didn't know them to the level I thought I actually knew them. So I started doing market research and really started to know the ins and outs of their mind, how they worked. I'm like, oh my, this stuff. I'm like, I wish I knew. I'm like, I'm such a dummy. I made some assumptions, or I wasn't speaking to the general audience. So I started making tweaks. So I started improving like my funnel, lead mechanisms, webinars. Ended up building an auto webinar from there, and then from there we've been scaling to the moon since. Like we just took off. And it's just like, and all these things start compounding over time, because also during this whole time, I'm still writing copy every single day. I'm still doing all these things. I'm getting better over time as well, because I'm habit stacking. I'm skill stacking over time. But my time tuition got cut drastically. Like literally, it's like I paid him 5 figures and I saved myself 2 years, which is literally millions of dollars. So I'm like, it was well worth it, because when I started thinking that way, that's how you basically hack time, is what you do.
So two things I want to unpack here.
Yeah.
Going way back to the ebook, I get a lot of young people in my DM.
Yeah.
Dog, how do I get started? Help me do this, but I can't afford to do that. And your ebook thing, it's pretty much what I tell everybody. Just get started. You actually learn a lot. Getting started, put out an offer, make something happen. Learn from that, because a lot of times if you're too low, see, I break people up into a continuum of knowledge. So you're a sales guy. So from 1 to 10, you're probably a 9. And in terms of how much knowledge you know about the sales game, but if a 9 tries to teach a 1, the sales game, the gap is too big. You actually have to get experience to maybe a 5, and then you can learn from somebody who's a 9, in my opinion. Okay? So same thing with copy. I probably would consider myself a 7. And if a 1 came to me and said, dog, teach me copy, I'm like, first, you need to go get experience with the market. You need to start putting out content. You need to start getting used to the mechanism of doing and learning on your own before I teach you how to do it, or it's not going to make any sense. So that's one thing I want people to know, from my opinion. Market's got this, knowledge stacking thing, because it begins with block number 1. You actually have to do it. And each step of the way, you still have to do it in order to get the next round of knowledge. And so that's really important. Second thing I heard from you was this guy, $49 workshop, which he really should have charged $5,000. Here's what I tell people in terms of when you put out an offer, let's say a micro offer, and you charge $27, you better make sure that offer felt like, wow, what a steal. Because if you're going to lowball people contact-wise for $27, they're never going to go up your funnel. They want. So if you're going to put out a $27 offer, you best put out $1,000 feel to it. Like 4 hours, whoa. And a lot of clients that I work with get really uncomfortable doing that. I'm sure you could probably tell why. They'll say, "Boom, give me it all the way." Dude, I would say 2% of the people who buy you $27 offer will ever do anything with it. The rest of them will just keep going around looking for the next secret to the game. There is no secret. It is laid out. Just do it and actualize it, internalize it, and then you will feel very eager to go to the next level with that exact person who gave you that $5,000 feeling from this offer. So that's what I get from you. Your content, your free value ladder content online. Really, you can make $10,000-$12,000 extra if you just read market free content and put it to work. And then once you do that, your questions will get a lot more specific about certain parts of the sales process, rather than going around going, I don't know what to do, man. So that's just what I heard from you. Do you disagree with anything I said?
So you're pretty much spot on. And I think a few things is, people in general, they're buying content, but what they really want is context. And context is what you can charge high ticket for. So, for example, I have 0 low ticket offers, 0. So I have now people that say, Marcus, hey, do you have like a little course I can buy, whatever? I'm like, no, I don't. I was like, and I'll tell them straight out, 99% of stuff I put out there is 100% free. So you go out there, consume it. But once you're ready to draw a line in the sand, really commit to a higher level of you, then let's talk. And we have a high ticket offer, right? And it's close to 5 figures now, because the results people get are absolutely insane. And I'm very transparent. I am one of the highest, I am the one of the most expensive in the marketplace, but I can back it up and I can deliver. So, but the reason we got to that point was through these little things and really realizing how can we make things better. But my point is you do have to eventually start somewhere. And whatever price point you put out, You want the value to be so far beyond it to be like, that was a freaking no-brainer. If it's a $47 course, you want people to say that was worth like, $5, $10, that was worth $4,700. I would have paid $5K for that thing. You deliver that much value, right? And when you start thinking that way and you just are just serving selflessly, it always comes back in dividends, because everyone is such a skeptic today. Everyone's a skeptic. So you have to prove them that you actually know what you're talking about. And that's actually why I'll literally I'll create micro win value tips that I know this video, this copy I just wrote, if they just do it, they're going to get a result. And when they get a result, they'll be like, wow, that guy works. That makes sense. I want to pay this guy a lot of money now, and he's really going to help me multiply that money, because then it becomes a no-brainer. If they know that if they know they can give you $1, you turn it into 10 for them, they have no budget. They'll give as much money as possible because they'll multiply with you regardless.
So let's move forward a little bit here. So you do both paid ads. I've seen some of your paid ads. Going back to the Harry Potter one, but I'm seeing a couple months. I think last month you did the book. I forget who it was. But anyway, my point is you do paid ads and you do organic with LinkedIn, YouTube, and some other places as well. Now there's a debate going on. It's always been around. Which is better? And I've always tried to tell people neither are better or worse than each other. They're different tools. But if you approach paid like it's a magic trick that you give Facebook, after cost per click, $500, they're going to magically give you leads. That's not really how it works. You still got to work the funnel to make sure, you get a return on your investment. And then organic started to help. Obviously, it's free, but it's not really free. You're paying with sweat equity. You're paying with your time and interacting with people, putting out really great content, showing up every single day as often as you can, sometimes twice a day if you have to. But they produce different types of results. And sometimes, if you do it right, if you have a hybrid approach, it's a very powerful full cycle funnel that people feel like, boom, I can get caught in your funnel, which I interact with your content. Then I go to Instagram, I see you on Instagram. So you kind of have that project. But the reason why you're effective in my mind, because you won my trust on a space I hang out with, naturally LinkedIn. So by the time I get to Instagram, I don't feel offended that you're selling me anything. It's just, this is fun. I laugh because it's just interesting to see the funnel working. If I was your ideal target, I probably would have clicked all the way through right. and see how much this cost.
Yeah.
But I want to hear from you. Organic versus paid, is it better or worse? Pros, cons. Where are you in this debate?
Yeah. So this is really about the traffic source. And at the end of the day, both play a role in different ways. All right. So it's important when you take a look at the whole mechanism, the machine, what part does it play? So ads are the very top. And there's two types of really ads you really create. There's either like cold traffic ads, which are like you can try and drive new leads into your funnel. Then there is retargeting ads, which are they're getting into your funnel. They've already seen some other stuff, and now you're just nurturing them to get them to take some sort of additional action. This could be to book a call, to download something, to do whatever. All right. It depends on the goal of your campaign. So, and then there's organic, which as you're right, organic takes sweat equity. It takes time. Now that's just purely traffic. Understand that. But in order for ads to work effectively, you also need to make sure you have a lead mechanism and a sales mechanism and a good offer. So you need to have all those pieces in play. And the mistake a lot of people make is they don't have those things in play. So they say, I'm going to create some cold ads. I just created my first course for $200. I'm going to start writing ads to people are going to pay me money. No, they won't. They don't know who you are. You have zero credibility, and people are just not going to spend money on someone they don't know. So understand that piece. You need the whole mechanism together to make ads really, really effective. Now, the way I utilize ads is a few different ways. And I test all types of things. Here's the thing with ads. The way I picture ads, it's money I'm cool to burn. That's what, like, that's just money. Like I mentally understand that I'm going to burn that cash. You have to mentally understand that, because if you don't detach from the outcome, you'll become very emotional with the ads, especially if you don't have data to track it. So suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, I just spent $1,000. I haven't closed a deal yet or haven't made any revenue back. Oh my gosh, it doesn't work. We don't know, because when you create an ad, there's so many elements that's part of the puzzle of ads, from who you target to the creative, the copy, the image, video, whatever. All those things really impact it to actually drive to conversion. Also, how much friction to do the step you want them to do, whether it's to watch a video sales letter, book, give their information. Do they have to give their cell number, email, etc.? Do they have to do all this extra stuff to get to the next stage? We don't know. So if there's too much friction as well, so there's all these components to it. So when you understand that, then you start using ads in a different way. So for example, once I installed tracking software, because I always thought ads worked for me pretty well for cold ads. I was like, I think ads work pretty well. And, we spend on average between 10 to 20K a month on ads. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I think it's working. But the issue I personally have always had over time was I would put $1 in, and I think I would make $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 back. So then I would spend more money on that specific ad, and I wouldn't always see the same return. It would fluctuate. I'm like, huh. So I actually thought, I'm just not very good at ads. I can't seem to figure out this. And it must be Facebook, must be Instagram, must be YouTube, must be something wrong on the platform. So this is actually why eventually later on, I'm in a different mastermind now. I messaged a different coach to help me with this type of stuff. So we installed tracking software. So now with tracking software, I now know hey, where leads come from. It's crystal clear. In fact, I also know what they clicked on between there. They get tracked by the software. So this is some epiphanies I've had over the last several months, which I'll share with you all, because I think you all will learn from this. So now I had data tracking. So we started tracking stuff, and over a couple months, I spent $15,000 in ads, or $30,000 in ads. Boom, $30,000 in. And when I tracked the opportunities in the direct revenue, so out of all the revenue, the portion that came from just those ads I looked at, I sourced 30K in revenue. I'm like, 30K in spent, 30K back. That is a net zero in gain. Okay. And then when I started really looking at the data, I realized they weren't even cold traffic leads, meaning when I saw where they actually came from, they found me they either Googled me or they found me on LinkedIn.
I was about to ask, yeah.
Right. And then they went to Facebook or Instagram, clicked on those ads, opted in, and eventually became a paying happy customer. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, but they didn't even come from the cold ads. They just happen to see it now because of the algorithm. So I couldn't attribute $1 and $3 out. Before I guess is a feeling. I don't like making decisions based off feelings. I like data. Now I data back it. So now I knew my cost to acquire a customer was simply not profitable by doing these type of ads. So my major aha on all these things, what took me years to figure out, which I solved in a couple months of my mentor, was, hey, I have a really good offer. It's better scaled out with organic. Okay. Organic and retargeting ads. Okay. So that meant now I can now make a better decision, which is pivoting my strategy. So I still have ads running as retargeting, but I spend a lot less now. I spend a couple $100s a day. That's really it. Right. So it's relatively low for retargeting, and we'll still get cold leads even from that as well. I do LinkedIn ads too, right? So we do LinkedIn ads for cold ads, which works pretty well, but it's way top of the funnel stuff that I generated for. So it's all. So I use ads now as a way to generate top of funnel work, but also now retargeting. But what I also do now is it also means if I want to leverage cold ads, then I need to create a different offer. I need to create a cold friendly offer. So that's what I'm going to do next as part of my 2022 strategy. But I'll double down on the organic piece. Now, to address the organic piece, what's key to understand is you have to go where the eyeballs are. That's a mistake a lot of people make. It's like it's where are the eyeballs and where are they on the platform. So, for example, on LinkedIn, I think they said that there's 300 or 700 million active users. So the mistakes that people make is they say, all right, I'm gonna start posting stuff. Well, if your target market is not connected to you, they're not gonna see it. So you have to go find them first, and then start putting yourself in front of them, right? By connecting with them, commenting and borrowing traffic off other influencers in that space, and get yourself in front of them as well. And then you can leverage organic. So from a long-term strategy perspective, that's part of the strategy, but also a part of my personal strategy as part of my business is we're doing two additional things that's going to drive with the organic piece. So number one is YouTube, because YouTube has long form content, and based off
your YouTube channel up over here.
I love it. See, you're watching right there, right? So one of the things that I also uncovered, because we track stuff and we have data to back it up, we always find out where people found out about our company, about me, etc. And they'll say, "Hey, I listened to Doug's podcast. That was cool, awesome. All right, I watched I watched your YouTube video. I watched this." And what was really interesting was 2 months ago, I really looked at the data. I'm like, dang, a lot of people said they watch my YouTube channel. Well, I didn't have a YouTube channel 2 months ago. So they were finding me on other people's podcasts that was on YouTube. They just Googled me, started binge watching stuff. And I'm like, huh, if they're already on here, moment. Yeah, let me freaking just double down on YouTube, then create my own channel and just start building my platform and just give them massive value. So that's what I started doing. So that's my long-term strategy for the YouTube piece. I'm also my audience, they love books. So I'll write a book. I'm writing a book right now. I'm writing a book. So that way I'm listening to what they're saying. I'm going to give them, it's a low ticket offer basically.
It's not about you. It's about the target audience. Where do they consume content? How do they consume content? What's your preferred way to do it?
That's right.
Even if you hate, say, TikTok, but if you know your audience absolutely was on TikTok, I think you will be hard pressed to find a way to double down on it, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's really the key is where's your audience at, and be there. Now, I like long-term plays, right? So for sure, many people are very bullish on TikTok, and I think it's a great platform. But when I look at all the data, the platform's YouTube has the longest lasting platform, and it's a Google search engine. So, for example,
we could debate which is stronger, Google or YouTube. For me, YouTube is so much stronger than Google. But it's a long debate. But my point is, we talked right before I pushed record. I started my YouTube channel 1 month ago because I realized, almost for similar reason, people were finding me on other people's podcasts on YouTube. I'm like, okay, so you're finding me on another channel. So how do I get over that? And one of the problems I had with YouTube was it's a hard build up. It's not like you're going to go viral with your first few posts. The algorithm doesn't really work like that. And I knew that from other clients. So I was scared of YouTube because it takes work to make YouTube work. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot of fun. And you do have to make an investment in it. So for me personally, I got my life situation. I got my camera. I got my video editor. I spent probably 1 month and over $2,000 trying to build out my YouTube. That's an investment that I'm hoping to get back 10 times more, because the power of YouTube, if we don't do it right, we don't have to work so hard, because we can be found on Google searches, YouTube searches, and things like that. It's almost like an mini SEO engine for yourself. So I'm excited to be on YouTube. It's a powerful weapon to have, but it's not easy to do. Am I right?
Absolutely. And the cool part is if it's not easy to do, now it becomes a competitive advantage if you stick it through, right? So when you realize that, it's like, all right, cool. Like I'm gonna double down this. Like this is a huge competitive advantage I have right here. Like I'm gonna just double down on this and just do it really, really well. So, and I'm all about the circle of focus, right? So it's not like I'm not trying to like, I'm not even on TikTok, even though everyone's like, Marcus, you gotta get on TikTok. I'm like, cool, makes sense. I'm zoned in, I'm hyper focused. Like I got my LinkedIn, that's fine, but I'm gonna go all in on YouTube. Like I'm gonna go all in on YouTube.
I love that about you. You're not a shiny object chaser. Maybe technology wise, I'm just kidding. But you know, in terms of channel, you're not like happy on all these channels. First you dominate LinkedIn, and then it's like what's next? And then your what's next is YouTube. I find, no offense to Stephen Pope. Stephen Pope is a great friend of mine, but Stephen Pope has the opposite strategy, which is I'm going to create one piece of content. I'm going to distribute it everywhere possible. I've never been a big fan of that because I'm a hyper-focused guy. Yep. In the past, it was Twitter only. I really understood Twitter. I knew how to use it. Got burned out. Came to LinkedIn. I'm on that path. Now I think I got a pretty good handle on it. Now I want to start building my funnel in other places and stop being a gun for hire. I want to stop writing so much. And so you see my brain a little bit more. My brain hurts these days. There's only so much I can do with that. You know?
That's it.
Yeah, right. So now I'm hoping content could work for me. So that's where I am at this point in the game. What's your long-term strategy? Maybe you're not comfortable sharing with that. Do you want to be the Gary Vee sales? So what's your dream in terms of social media?
Yeah, great question. So you're gonna probably find this kind of entertaining, but this might shock you. But I actually hate social media. I hate social media. I hate being on social media. In fact, like I have all notifications turned off on my phone for social media. Like I wouldn't even use social media if it wasn't for my business. That's just the truth. You know, I find it sucks my energy, sucks my time, and I only use it as a tool, right? Like ultimately, people don't realize we are the product on social media. We are our eyeballs are the product. We're the that's how they make their money. So I much rather do what I want to do versus follow what's on there. So, but I do plan to use it as a tool to benefit me and my family and what I care about. So with that being said, long-term strategy, a few different plays, I'm more than happy to share because, you know, I don't want to be a Gary Vee of sales. That's like not my goal, right? I don't want to post content I think is going to go viral. I really don't care about that at all. That means nothing to me. That's why I really don't post stuff that's like really out there, you know? And I feel in general, people are trying to post stuff just to get attention and eyeballs. Something happens in the world, they feel like they have to post something about the world every single day. I'm like, yeah, you could, but are you just posting because you just want someone to think you're this way? Like that's what I see a lot of, right? So you know, for me, like I'm gonna double down YouTube because that's gonna be a peer value. Like I'm not posting any like viral content. I'm not like, oh, this just happened. Like, check out my thoughts here below. Like, I don't care about that. I'm providing value on YouTube. People that are watching and want value are going to love that, which is totally cool. I'll have the book that's going to come out this summer. Again, a long-term play. Again, peer value. And people that read the book, there's going to be some who are going to want to book a call with my team and join my higher ticket program. Eventually, I'm going to build out mastermind programs, even higher level programs, right? To be surrounded by the most elite people and do events like that. You know, probably eventually I probably want to get to the point where I'm probably like running 4 live events a year. I really don't want a huge team either. Team of max 10 people. Like right now we're lean. We have 4 people, including myself. I don't want any more than that. Like I don't want more than 10. I'm good with 10 people. Like, and ultimately build this business up that, we're, get to the point where we're netting $5 million a year and I can run from my laptop. That's it. I'm good. Like I'm talking about pure net, not growth. I want net $5 million a year after taxes every single year, lean to mean team, high performing team, working with people I want to work with. Eventually, we're going to build out also. We're going to build out another offer as well as part of how we do what we do here, because also I now know I can't scale cold traffic with this offer, which is fine. That means we double down the organic strategy in the book, and then we'll also then focus on a cold traffic offer as well. It'll probably be in sales in some way, shape, or form, but something that's going to be cold traffic friendly with a different audience as a new opportunity that we can really serve that audience. So we know we can scale with cold ads at a hyper scale level.
That's it. You know what? You're gonna make it. I didn't know you're gonna make that reality come true.
I appreciate that.
Certain people, you're kind of like, they're just dreaming big. You're dreaming big, but you have the momentum behind you. You have the skill stack that you mentioned at the beginning of the call. Nobody can take that from you. This is stuff that you've acquired. It's in your brain. It's in your blood. You can't take that. So basically, people who worry about going viral, they're not really skill stacking. They're just chasing attention. That's not really going to build a business. That's not going to really drive a business. That's just good for getting attention and getting some dopamine fired up in you. But on the other side, you're very intentional about your skill stack and your time. And you put those together, you've got a lean, mean machine that, you're going to make it do. I'm not just trying to blow smoke up your butt. You're just one of those people that you can kind of sense. He's going to do it, man. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Well, and here's the thing. So I think what's important to understand is, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. The biggest thing is, for people out there who are listening, it's because I'm crystal clear exactly with what I want. And that's really key. I think a lot of people end up not having clarity to what they want. They say, Doug, I want to be like you. I want to be an amazing copywriter. Okay. But what do you really want? That's just a vehicle to get to where you want to go. Like, for example, when I got into B2B sales, it wasn't like, oh, cool, I want to sell stuff. I love selling. That wasn't it. I'm like, I want to be in an environment, or I want to be in a vehicle, if you will, that can get me to my goals of financial freedom. That's what I was really looking for. And then over time, once you hit that, you're kind of like, what do I want to achieve next? And I really realized years ago how much I value my time, to have my time. And I didn't, and that's why when I started the business, when suddenly I created my own job with all the one-on-ones and all the stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the complete opposite of what I was trying to create. I created another job for myself. I need to create a business that gives me time. So when you realize that you know what you want, then you can start working backwards to work towards that. So that's why for some people, they have this big goal, like, oh, I want a huge team. And I want to make, I want to be making 30, 40, 50 million a year. Cool. If that's your goal, great. I don't want that. I don't want the headaches with that. I ran big teams. I didn't enjoy, I did for a while. It was really awesome, but it's very stressful. I want to be able
it's very stressful. I
want to work wherever I want be whoever I want and do whatever I want. I want to make whatever decision I want to make without worrying about money, worrying about whatever, and just having time to do it. Time is the most valuable thing to me. So now I want to make sure the business is built that way as well. So when you have clarity to your end goal, then you can start working backwards to build out the path to get there. And if you don't know how to get there, you can actually, what skills do I need to get to that point? And who has those skills that I can go pay them to save on the time tuition? And you get that time back and you save yourself that time and you increase your results at a faster rate.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We have 9 minutes left. I want to take advantage of it.
Crazy.
Let's switch gears.
Sure.
Marketing. It's in the past. People, if you're listening, just rewind the tape. Listen to it again, and you'll make your money. I promise you. Go reach out to markets if you need help. But listen to the tape again. There's a lot of stuff, tangible, actionable items that you can put into play. With 1 week and thinking, brainstorming, reverse engineering the process a little bit better, and going, execute. Now, we're switching gears here. So you're pretty much enterprise, almost enterprise level B2B sales, and a little bit of up market. But I'm going to ask you for a favor to go down to the solo professional level with me for a minute. Most of my clients are solo pros who hire out copywriting services, but they're not looking for big teams like you are. They're looking to keep it small and easy, but they still have to get on the phone. So let's use me as an example to help them. So we got 5 minutes. We're just going to get a crash course on how to improve sales. So for me, my sales call is there's no scripts. I typically, when clients get on the call, there's a little banter. Typically, clients who get on the call with me knowing it through contact. It's different than running cold ads. They're not coming in from my website very rarely. Are they coming in from my website? They're literally reaching out in the DM. God, it's enough. I'm tired of seeing you in my feed. I want to talk to you. Sure, let's do it. So we get on, we have a little banter. Then I go, okay, so what's the problem? And then they start, well, a few things that trip me up time and time again is that when I give the price, some of them are common objections, some of them are not. One of them is send me a proposal. And I've learned quickly in the last 3 years, when you say that to me, I've lost you. Like, I don't know how to get my way out of. Actually, no, I'm not going to send you a proposal. Let's just work it out here. Because every single time I send a proposal, I get ghosted or it's a no. So it seems to me proposals are a waste of time. What say you?
Yeah. So, well, it depends. First off, here's the thing. I have some philosophies about pricing. All right. Once you drop pricing, it gets emotional, especially when you're selling to other solopreneurs. It gets emotional. Like whatever money beliefs they have suddenly kick into play. All right. So I need to get the facts before I drop the pricing. Because a lot of times you don't really know what the objection is if you give pricing too early. So what you really want to do, and I'll give you some really, really simple strategies to do. You literally apply right after you listen to this. So before you go into pricing and you just discuss them, the solution you can offer them, the services, etc. And they say, that sounds really cool, Doug. I like what you're talking about. Awesome. But how much is it? They'll say something like that. Before you share the pricing, all you want to do is gauge exactly where they stand. Before pricing, before it gets super emotional, you just want to know. The price. Yeah, just hold the price back for a second. So you could say, oh, they're like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Awesome. How much is it? Cool. Awesome. Hey, so pricing and money aside, based on what we discussed so far, what do you think? Let them tell you.
They're going to tell you, oh, I love it. At some point, they're going to tell you how they feel about the thing, aside from pricing.
Now, if they're kind of reserved, they might be like, "Oh, yeah, I think it's really, really good," and then you can tell by their tonality and how they're saying it. Then insert this next question, or you can start this if you want. You say, "Cool, man. Just make sure I'm like the same page as you on the scale of 1 to 10. 1 being, Doug, I absolutely hate your guts. Can't wait to hang up. And 10 being, this is exactly what I need. Where do you fall exactly?" So you can tie to a metric now to get them down to where they mentally are. And they might say, oh, I think I'm a 10. Oh, that doesn't sound very confident. I want to find out why. What do you mean? Tell me more about that. What makes you a 10? They might say they're an 8. I'm at an 8. Cool. What does an 8 mean for you specifically? And you're looking for what is the gap between them being a very confident 10 and wherever they are right now. Now, they might say I'm a 10 out of 10, which is great. Then it makes sense to go into price. So now you know it's not your solution. That's key. So we're isolating now before we get to pricing. That's not about the solution. That's very, very important. Because once you drop the pricing, it could be about the money. It could be about the solution if you just don't know. So now you can just uncover exactly where they stand. It could be 8, 9, whatever it's going to be. And the thing is if they're not a 10 or 9 or a 10, sharing pricing won't make them feel better. It only makes them feel worse. Okay, like so you just put the pricing aside. So you have to isolate it out. So that way you can uncover, did you miss something? Do you need to overcome certain objections? Do you need to build up more value in their mind? Do you need to show them the cost of inaction? Do you need to show them the ROI, return on investment? Do you need to show them why they can't live without sleep? Do you need to show them why now is the time to invest today? We don't know. So you have to uncover all those things first before you get to pricing. So then once you know, because if they say, well, I'm an 8, but it all depends on the price. Put the money aside. Money aside. Where do you fall? Oh, I'm still an 8. Well, what do you mean specifically? Well, I need to know the money. I need to know how much it is, though. No, I totally get that. But here's the thing. Because of what I can deliver for you, you'll make the money back. I'm not worried about that. But I need to make sure you're not 100% aligned, so you know this is actually the right thing for you. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? 8 between, are you an 8, 9, or 10? Where are you at? Oh, I'm at an 8. Cool. What's on your mind is holding you back from being a 9 or 10? And you want to isolate it out. What is it going to be exactly? Maybe they lack uncertainty in you.
Yeah, I've
Maybe
never gone that deep before. Usually I just blurt out the pipe. It's facts. They're like, well, some people are like, cool, let's do it. I've heard people say, you want people to kind of gasp at the price and then be okay with it. You don't want people to be like, that's all, great. That means your offer wasn't big enough. Is that right?
Yeah, for most part, yes, right? So it all depends on how much value you built up in their mind. So like that's really the key. The key is how much of a value stack have you provided them? Like even when we're going through and we're showing them, once we did the discovery, we're showing them everything. We show them all the total value, but also not on top of that, especially you'll appreciate in copywriting, we make so many big, bold claims. We make a lot of bold claims, but we back every single one up. So that's actually why before they even get a call with us, we'll literally send them things. They can literally read through over 100 different testimonials before they even get a call with us. Because that way, when they get in the call, there's 100% certainty that we can actually deliver for them. And that they just want to know, will this work for me? And then, yeah, so we have
pre-qualified people before the call happens.
100%. We have pre-qualified everywhere.
I don't do that. I should be doing that. I'm a simple guy. If you DM me, say, hey, I'm interested in you coaching. I just immediately sent you my calendar. Right? Maybe I need to hold that back and ask more questions.
Well, it's super simple. All you have to do is just take your Calendly, insert some qualifier questions in there. That's all you gotta do. Super simple. It can be very, very simple. Like what's your top 3 goals with potentially working with us? Where are you at currently from an income perspective? Where do you want to be at? What are the biggest challenges so far you're running into? What have you tried to do to fix it? Assuming it's 100% a good fit. Do you have, number one, do you have access to financial, do you have access to funds? Yes, no, I can get it. Okay, cool. Anything else I want to know? Cool. So you can pre-qualify them and filter out only the quality. So you don't waste your time with the calls of people that just are just looky-loos. Like you want to just, your time is super valuable, just like mine is. I don't want my team talking to people that are just want to have a conversation. Like we're here to solve a problem and have a business conversation. If you want to talk after hours, that's totally cool too. But I'm here to solve your problem and make you freaking rich as a salesperson. So what do you want to do?
This is great. So we're running out of time just to summarize this. Hold the price. Ask them 1 to 10. 10 being, I'm ready to hand you my credit card. Where are you? Try to figure out what the gap is between, let's say they say 7. Okay, you're 7. Price aside. What's stopping you from becoming a 10? What's missing? And let them tell you. And you try to honestly answer their objection as much as possible and get them close the gap to credit card time. And before you even get on the call, pre-qualify your buyer, at least prime them in their mind and yourself what the situation is going to be. So I don't do any of that. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start doing that. That's really simple, effective way for somebody like me to easily insert into their business call. I like what you call it. It's a business call. it's a sales call, but you could call it a business call because that's what we're doing. We're solving problems, right?
You're here to solve a problem. I mean, that's just what you're doing at the end of the day. I mean, at the end of the day, they're not going to jump on the call with you just for fun. So you want to make sure they're mentally prepared as well. That's actually why even after the call, we have an email sequence, we have automation, we have all these things that pre-nurture them and answer pretty much all their questions. We have all these things designed in advance. So when we get on the call, we can just focus on them. Like, in fact, we won't even pitch them if we can't help them. Like, half people get on call, we don't even present a single thing to. We say, you're not ready. This is not for you. This is what you recommend first. Go watch this YouTube video. Go do this. You're not there yet. And we'll disqualify them. Because
you have no fear of using the sale that way.
Zero fear. Like when you detach from the outcome, it becomes absolutely incredible because then you don't have, commission breath, you don't have revenue breath. You're not trying to get credit. You will do what's best for them. And sometimes that means they need a little more time. So for example, like
people are so scared of dropping the ball. They treat it like a fragile egg. When they get a lead, they're like, oh, I hope I don't drop that. So they're so scared. They'll lower their prices. They'll say yes to everything. They'll rush the process. With you, it's like, hey, I want to make sure this is a good fit for you. If it's not, I recommend you not working with that. I check these things out and stuff. That's some brass,
Oh yeah,
brass things going on there.
You need to have so much confidence, conviction in your offer, your solution. You will walk away with deals and it won't even matter to you, right? But when you become at that level, business is so fun because you're only just solving problems. You work with the best clients, like that. That's why, like, I mean, every day my team we're booking between 3 to 10 calls every day, every single day, right? So, and we don't meet with all of them. We don't. And even the ones we meet with, half the time we're not even presenting them a solution. Because they're just not they're not mentally there yet, like they're just like they don't have big enough goals, etc. Like, oh yeah, if I get there, and I'm like, well, if that's the case, then dude, like you're better off just watching the free YouTube channel because you're not really that serious. Like we don't want your money if you're not 100% in. Like this is actually why we have such an insane amount of testimonials. Like you see me on LinkedIn, I share one a week. I probably get 20, 30 a week. Like I don't even share them all. That's why I have so many. But it's only because we're working with people who truly want to get help. And they're at that stage where like, yep, I'm in, I'm 100%, let's freaking go. And they're going to take action. That's one of the secrets to our success. We work with people who actually want to take action. And it becomes amazing. And that's why it keeps fulfilling over and over and over. They want to take action. They come in, they take action, they get results. Testimonial, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat.
That's amazing, dude. Absolutely amazing. Folks, there you have it. This is a $200,000 podcast. I'm not even lying. We paid the video 4 times this weekend. You can make $200,000 if you actionize a lot of these strategies. Marcus has very generously shared with us. I'll leave all of his contact information in the description below. His LinkedIn, his YouTube channel, his website. It's all there. Please go check him out. He's a wonderful human. He's a go-getter. I enjoy having him in my network. You should have him in yours. So, Marcus, thank you for joining me.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.